we have investments that we have to protect. We have lenders and things like that. So we have to hold you accountable just like you hold us accountable to give you a safe space. So definitely have had to like have a model and have like an actual business in place to protect our assets. But there are essential steps. If you're going to do anything like real estate and be involved in the business, there's steps that you got to do methodically. And I think that was scaling for me, was like getting the process to first vet the people that can help me scale, documenting all my processes, also just documenting all the like myriad of documentation and paperwork, tax stuff, all this stuff that you have to do at the same time while scaling your business, because deals weren't a problem for me. Deals flow and all that, and flipping wholesale, I was running and gunning. But what the issue was like catching up with all the like admin that comes around with that, and like keeping up with like, customer follow-up and all these things and leads and things. So I had to get better about that. So as I continued to scale, got my first rental and escalated into multiple rentals, I got a property management company to manage my properties for probably the majority of the, just recently started self-managing again. But like that alone, like just offloading when I got to what I would say was a significant amount of rentals for me, it's like, man, all this tenant communication, keeping up with payments and like taxes, 1099s, this is blowing my mind while I'm working. So like everybody from the outside is like, oh man, you're doing that and that. And I'm like, I'm doing it, but I'm not doing it extremely well and efficiently, right? So scaling looked like just getting organized, like really being honest with myself. And there was definitely some cuts and bruises along the way that led to me being like, enough is enough. We gotta get somebody, we gotta delegate. So I became really good at delegating, basically.
We have about 15 remote team members that work with us, and we've gotten really good at finding good ones. But largely, I learned early on that their success is based on me,
it's based on you.
It's based on how well we have everything documented, how well we relay our culture and our values and our ethics, and like how we want to operate as a team and our vision. And people think you got to change up just because they're remote team members. And you don't.
Nope,
you just meet with them virtually, but they are full-time team members on your team that can make just as big of an impact. It's been game-changing for us because they're so powerful for what they do for our company, and obviously same with the in-person folks on our team. But if you have the right documentation, the right organization, and then invest that same time into them and make sure they can be successful just as you would an in-person employee, the result are just as strong.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, it's like you get out what you put in.
Right.
And I found that like consistently, like outside of some outliers where it's like, there's some strange things that can happen culturally where it's like they understand we're real estate investors, there's money involved. So you have to be mindful that there is, just like here, there's a possibility that things can be taken advantage of. Like the flexibility of being a remote worker, like tends to lend itself to some behaviors where you're like, am I getting the most value out of this person? So when you invest in them, they see that just like anybody else. And like, I'm going to give you back like, exponentially more because you're invested in me, you believe in me, but you're giving me the tools that I need to succeed to help you out.
Right. What's your experience been as a landlord, like working with tenants and things like that?
It's had its moments, I would say. There's definitely been some challenges. What I found was me personally managing versus a company managing. And this is a big plug for Peak Property Management. Get you a good property management like Peak. But I would say it can make or break you. I've had experiences with, what I would say property management companies that were kind of middle of the road where I felt like more could have been done with like the tenant relationship. And I've definitely felt the struggles of that. Obviously, not having a ton of experience in different property management companies, you don't really know what you're supposed to do, right? What they're supposed to do, what you're supposed to do, unless you're highly well-versed in like tenant law, landlord law, all these things. So like, I found that I had to like educate myself more to understand if I was being shortchanged in certain ways with property management relationships. And still some questions that I have, right? But I think ultimately me managing my own properties now, that dynamic shifts when you move from property management to self-management. There's definitely a dynamic of like, hey, this is an individual person, right? I'm probably going to get more leniency, so maybe I can be a little late on my rent, or maybe I don't have to take care of this property as much because they're not going to check on it. So I've had to develop more strong processes, more efficient processes to kind of put up that shield and say, hey, look, we got inspections on this, you're going to get to pay or quit, you know what I mean? It's a partnership, but at the end of the day, we have investments that we have to protect. We have lenders and things like that. So we have to hold you accountable just like you hold us accountable to give you a safe space. So definitely have had to like have a model and have like an actual business in place to protect, our assets.